Welcome back to the channel. It's truly a joy to have you here again. Whether you've followed us for a while or just stumbled upon this video today, you've landed in a space where we dive beneath the surface of ordinary life to uncover the timeless wisdom that helps us make sense of who we are, what we inherit, and what we leave behind. Today, we are not just talking about families. We are talking about legacies, about the hidden forces that shape a family's rise or fall over generations. You see, most people think the secret to a prosperous family lies in wealth, in connections, in securing positions of power. But those who have lived long enough or observed the world closely know this isn't the full picture. There are families with riches beyond imagination, whose children grow up lost, reckless, or estranged. There are lineages with historical influence, whose name now brings no meaning, and then there are humble families with little material to pass on, but whose descendants thrive in ways money could never guarantee. So what's the real difference? What are the quiet, often overlooked forces that dictate whether a family thrives or collapses? Today, we'll take a long and thoughtful journey into that question, not with formulas or strategies, but with stories, reflections, and the kind of wisdom that speaks not just to the mind, but to the soul. Let me begin with a story. In a coastal city known for its booming economy, there once lived a businessman whose empire had grown from a single hardware store to a multi-million-dollar chain. He was revered in his community, admired by peers, and feared by competitors. But if you looked closer into his life, behind the marble floors and designer suits, you'd see a different story playing out inside his home. His relationship with his elderly parents was tense and cold. He had built them a house, yes, but never visited. His children rarely saw their grandparents. When asked, he would say, "They're too old-fashioned, I've given them enough. What more do they need?" Years passed. His business began to falter. Competitors outmaneuvered him. Lawsuits began to pile up. His health deteriorated. And in the midst of it all, his own children began to spiral. One got expelled for substance abuse. Another ran away to live in another country and cut ties completely. What had gone wrong? People whispered about bad investments and bad luck. But those who knew him best said something different. He was never good to his parents. That's where it began. You may or may not believe in karma, but look closely at life and you'll notice a pattern. There is something sacred about the way we treat the ones who gave us life, and when we violate that sacred bond, even if the world applauds our success, something begins to rot beneath the surface. There's a saying that has echoed through centuries: the family that honors its elders will never fall. This isn't just about having Sunday dinners or sending checks. It's about genuine respect, an invisible current that runs through a family and anchors it in something deeper than ambition. When you forget your roots, you forget what nourishes the tree. And no matter how tall that tree grows, if its roots are neglected, it will eventually fall. But the principle doesn't stop at respect. Let's talk about something even subtler, or the power of words. In countless family tragedies, if you rewind the clock, you'll find the trigger not in money, not in betrayal, but in speech. In a careless sentence, in a cruel joke, in years of criticism disguised as concern. The mouth is a gateway not just for food, but for destiny. Words build or destroy. They bless or curse. A child who grows up in a home where voices are sharp and blame is common will carry invisible scars. A spouse who is belittled, even with a smile, will eventually stop smiling back. Siblings who gossip about each other will never truly trust. What we say and how we say it writes the emotional blueprint of our families. There was once a woman who grew up in a quiet rural home. Her parents were simple, hard-working people who didn't have much education, but in that house, kindness reigned. Arguments never escalated. Mistakes were met with calm corrections. Gratitude was spoken daily. She went on to become a respected professor. When asked the secret behind her resilience, she said, "I was raised in gentleness. That made me strong." Now let's touch a darker topic: wealth built on harm. The notion that money is money, no matter how you make it, is one of the most dangerous beliefs a family can pass down. There are fortunes built on lies, exploitation, and broken bacchus. And while such wealth may shine on the surface, it carries a weight of moral debt. We've all seen it. Families that seem to have it all, but are plagued by illness, scandal, estrangement. Look closely, and you'll find a hidden cost. Maybe it was a factory that polluted a village. Maybe it was a business that crushed smaller competitors through deception. Maybe it was political power gained through betrayal. However it happened, that money is not clean, and what's built on suffering will eventually suffer collapse. There's a businessman who made his millions through shady real estate deals, land that was forcefully bought, families that were displaced. At his peak, he was untouchable. But by his 70s, he was alone. His sons were in rehab, his daughter refused to visit, and the grandchildren didn't know his name. "I built all this for them," but he said in bitterness. But he didn't realize he also built the karma they inherited. This is not to say that success is a sin. Far from it. True prosperity, earned with integrity, shared with generosity, and guided by values, is one of the greatest gifts a family can receive. But it must be clean. It must be honest. It must serve more than ego. And most of all, it must come with humility. There's another kind of family, the kind that's not flashy, but deeply rich. They speak kindly. They care for each other. They do not gossip. Their children grow up with confidence and compassion. Their elders are not placed in homes, but honored as living libraries. They may not have private jets, but they have peace. They may not throw grand weddings, but they laugh together at dinner. That's not poverty. That's wealth of the highest order. Every family has a choice: to build on sand or to build on soul. One looks impressive, the other lasts. So what makes a family truly prosperous? It's not the money in the bank, it's the character of its members. It's the way they speak, it's how they handle conflict. It's how they treat the silent and the small. It's how they remember those who came before. And it's how they shape the ones who come next. We are not just inheriting wealth or tradition. We're inheriting energy, patterns, unspoken rules. And we are also passing those on. Whether we like it or not, we are all part of a lineage, not just biological, but spiritual. What you do today echoes in your family for generations. You want your family to flourish. Start small. Honor your parents, not just in actions, but in tone. Speak gently to your children, not just with love, but with patience. Spend your money, not just wisely, but ethically. Tell the truth. Hold space for mistakes. Laugh more. Judge less. Build not just a house, but a home. Not just a name, but a legacy. Because in the end, what will define your family's story is not what you accumulated, but what you cultivated. Not what you showed the world, but what you nurtured behind closed doors. Thank you for watching this video. If this message sparked something in you, maybe a memory, a regret, or a new intention, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what values you believe should be passed down. And if you found value here today, please subscribe, like, and join us for the next journey. You're building something beautiful, and we'd love for you to be part of it. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care of your roots, and the branches will grow strong.